To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep, perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. Welcome to Teacup For One. My name is Matt, and I have 2 degrees, and today we are continuing our spooky movie marathon by talking about a film that every drama kid, English major, and Shakespearean enthusiast needs to see. Theatre of Blood, starring Vincent Price and Diana Rigg. Yes, that Diana Rigg from the great Muppet Caper. Theatre of Blood is a comedy horror film from 1973 about a vengeful Shakespearean actor exacting revenge on the very critics who ruined his career by recreating the death scenes from some of Shakespeare's most famous plays. Seriously though, this film is unlike anything I have ever seen before. Now, if you're familiar with Shakespeare, obviously you know that most of his more gruesome deaths happen off stage. This film shows us everything, from a decapitation through to a man being drowned in a barrel of wine, and it manages to strike this absolutely charming balance between horrific and hilarious all at once. Now, this film is aiming to appeal to a very niche audience, people who love Shakespeare, but can also laugh at the pretension surrounding it. Vincent Price plays Edward Lionhart, the quintessential Shakespearean actor. Oh, and he also named his daughter Edwina Lionhart, and if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know about the man, I cannot help you. One of the greatest parts of this film, aside from the crazy murder scenes, is watching Vincent Price playing Edward Lionhart, playing Shakespeare's greatest roles. Before he commits each murder, he gives a performance from the play that inspired his method of killing. So, in honor of a film that is dedicated to judging an actor's performance, I thought it would be simply smashing if we look at Vincent Price's performance as Edward Lionhart and compared it to some performances of the greatest actors of their respective generations performing the same speeches. I am going to call this segment The Price is All Right. We shall start with a speech from Julius Caesar, Act 3, Scene 2, and going up against Vincent Price, Marlon Brando from the 1953 film Julius Caesar.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears! I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Here on the leave of Brutus and the rest, for Brutus is an honorable man. So are they all honorable men. Come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man.
Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears. I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him. Here under leave of Brutus and the rest, come I to speak in Caesar's funeral. He was my friend, faithful and just to me. But Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus is an honorable man.
Well done, lads. To begin, I feel that Marlon Brando has an impeccable energy, and he has the charm and charisma required of Mark Antony when delivering this speech and seducing the public. Brando also takes advantage of the antithesis embedded into the line, "I come to bury Caesar, not to praise him," which illustrates a stark contrast between those two ideas, which unfortunately Lionheart just plowed straight through. Brando also makes a strong distinction when he's discussing Caesar versus Brutus, so that every he is clearly assigned and there is no confusion as to his train of thought. Now, I wish I could say the same for Edward Lionhart, but unfortunately, his delivery of the same speech came across as unenergized, convoluted, and self-serving. This is a man who just likes to hear himself talk. The price is alright, but the award for Best Mark Antony in Julius Caesar goes to Marlon Brando. Congratulations, Marlon. Next, we have a selection from The Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 3. Going up against Vincent Price as Shylock, we have Al Pacino from the 2004 film The Merchant of Venice. Roll the clip.
You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine. And all for use of that which is mine own. Well, it now appears you need my help. Or shall I bend low, and in a slavish voice, with bated breath and whispering humbleness, say this: "Fair sir, you spat on me on Wednesday last, you spurned me such a day, another time you called me dog."
You called me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine. Well, then it now appears you need my help. Shall I bend low and in a bondsman's key with bated breath and whispering humbleness say this? Fair sir, you spit on me on Wednesday last. You spurned me such a day. Another time you called me dog.
Bravo, bravo. This is a bit of a closer call. Now, with Pacino's performance, we see that he is taking advantage of the monosyllabic phrase, "You need my help," instead of running through it, which gives more emphasis and more importance to those words and that central idea, which of course is the driving plot device in The Merchant of Venice. Pacino has a clear understanding of the text, and he is using this speech to engage in a conversation and negotiate with Antonio. Now, Lionheart's performance does have some merits as well. First of all, he's taking advantage of the alliteration in bated breath, as well as the onomatopoeia in whispering. And his overall interpretation of the speech has a more raw emotional quality to it, and he's playing on the hurt and the anger which comes to a head in the line, "You called me dog." But of course, we cannot ignore the fact that much of this emotional quality is being driven by Lionheart's personal resentment of the theatre critic he is about to kill. As I said, this is a closer call. However, Al Pacino is a much more generous actor. He is making the scene about his scene partner instead of, once again, being self-serving and overindulgent, which is what we continue to see from Edward Lionhart. So it looks like, once again, the price is alright, and the award for Best Interpretation of Shylock goes to Al Pacino. Oh, we are in for a treat with this next one. Richard III, Act 1, Scene 1. Going up against Edward Lionhart as Richard of Gloucester, Sir Laurence Olivier. I am not worthy.
Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried.
Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried.
Well, these performances are virtually identical. But Lionheart does have much more impressive rolled R's. So I think I have to give this round to Edward Lionhart. Sorry, Sir Lawrence, but the price is right. And finally, Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 1. The to be or not to be speech. Okay. If you've lasted with me this long, thank you. This is the thing, though. You really can't compare any performance of To Be or Not to Be to another performance of To Be or Not to Be. That text is so rich with so many big ideas about life and death that any performance that understands what the text is saying has its own merits. And the main thing with To Be or Not to Be in Theatre of Blood is that he's applying it not to Hamlet's life, but to Edward Lionhart's life. And the same words, under those circumstances, take on an entirely different meaning. When the speech is delivered by Hamlet, in Hamlet, he reaches the end of the speech and he can't bring himself to kill himself. However, when Edward Lionhart performs it, spoiler alert, he doesn't even get to the end of the speech because he commits suicide halfway through. And the last line Lionhart delivers before he jumps is, "There's the respect that makes calamity of such long life." In Hamlet, the respect is referring to the idea that we don't know what awaits us in the afterlife and whether or not it will be worse than what we're experiencing in this mortal, clamorous life. With Edward Lionhart, there is a double entendre there because he is about to commit suicide in front of the very critics whose disrespect for his lifelong career drove him to the point of wanting to kill himself. So, the line takes on a totally different meaning when he looks those critics in the eye and says, "There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life." So I guess what I'm really getting to with this is that Edward Lionhart was, in fact, not a great actor, but Vincent Price was. He is tackling most of Shakespeare's greatest roles with a solid command of the text, fully committed to going over the top with the Shakespearean characters, while at the same time playing Lionhart's subtext with subtlety and nuance. And on top of that, he knows how to play the balance between comedy and horror. And it is the performance of a lifetime. Maybe. I haven't gotten to the house on Haunted Hill yet. The Haunted Hill House? The Haunting. Oh, he was also good in Edward Scissorhands. Whatever. For now, friends, that concludes yet another episode of Teacup For One. Let me know in the comment section down below, what is your favorite Shakespearean death? And if you want to continue with me on this journey of watching a movie a day for the spooky Halloween season, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. It's super easy. All you need to do is click on my face. Thank you for joining me once again today, everyone. My name is Matt and I have 2 degrees, and that's the Teacup For One. Be gone.